All right, everyone, we're back with our historic content. We gave you guys a list of Teddy's top 10 greatest heavyweights of all time a week ago, and we said we would be coming back weekly and doing more of these segments. So here we are. We're going to do the top 10 greatest fighters of all time, period, regardless of division. Your top 10 greatest fighters in boxing history.
The first thing I want to say is what I said when I did the last list. It's subjective. It's my opinion. I think it's a good opinion. I think it's an opinion that excuse me, I take very responsibly. I take very seriously. I love this sport. But this is a sport that's been around longer than any other sport, over 2,000 years. When you're putting together a list like this of greatest fighters of all time with a sport that's got 2,000 years worth of great fighters, it's not easy. It's not easy. And it's hard for me because I got to leave guys off it that belong on it. And I'm going to say that right from the beginning, that there's guys off this list that belong on it. But again, you can't put them all on. I would love to, but you can't. It's not the top 20, the top 30, top 50. It's the top 10. So you have to, like they said in the film business, when they did the editing, they used to say you got to kill your children. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a terrible saying, but that's what the old time film guys used to say. When they had to cut some of the film, they loved it. They spent time filming it. They thought it was great, but the movie couldn't be 10 hours. It had to be an hour and a half. It had to be 2 hours. You know, so I will also add this: the order really shouldn't matter. I have to have an order of 10. But it really shouldn't matter because, as I just kind of, touched on, just being on this list is what really matters. You're the best of a sport that has been here for 2,000 years. You are the few who have been able to climb Mount Everest, and most of you did it without the help of oxygen, which was used later as others climbed the peak. I had to say that. I wrote that down for myself to say that. Again, these are special fighters. These are special men. This is my list. All right, we're going to start with number 10. I felt a need to put modern era fighters in there. Only if they're great. But I could have left them out, because there's so many fighters from the earlier eras when there were more fights and everyone was fighting each other, where they didn't care about wins and losses. They didn't care about losses. It wasn't like they were, if they lost a couple of fights in a row, they wouldn't get on network TV. There was no network TV. So it didn't matter. All that mattered was they fought whoever they were told to fight. They fought the best guys. And the results of that, they learned how to fight. They became better fighters. That's why you had so many fighters back in the era where there was 200, sometimes close to 300 pro fights, because A, they fought each other. They fought everybody. They didn't dodge. They didn't fight twice a year so they could stay undefeated and they could get to a title fight on network TV and make money. No, they fought because that was their trade. They practiced their trade. They practiced their craft. And that's how they became better at their craft. So I could have easily gone with eras of fighters that a lot of you guys probably wouldn't know, unfortunately. And I hope you do your studying. I hope you look up after I give you this list and say, oh yeah, that's why Teddy's talking about this guy. That's why he's got him on the list. That's why he reveres this guy so much. And the criteria, again, historic value, how important you were to the history, how you fit into the history of this great sport, how many historic fights you've been in, longevity, opponents, level of competition that you fought the best, and how you did in those top fights. All of that. How you changed the sport. How you bettered the sport by being involved in some of the sport's greatest fights. Fights that changed the sport, that moved the sport in a different direction. All of that is put into my thinking when it comes down to this very difficult list. All right, number 10. The guy does fit into the errors that I just talked about, where he could fit in with any era. He had 100 fights or somewhere in that area. I don't have his record exact in front of me. My son will probably jump on that. But he's one of those rare modern-day fighters that do have that amount of fights, has won at every weight class, so many weight classes, had longevity, obviously, just was a great lightweight. Then he upset the world and won the welterweight title in a great fight against a great fighter, against the Golden Boy type fighter. Yeah, I'm talking about the one and only Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran. When your nickname is Hands of Stone, you got to be on the list. You got to be on the list. I mean, this is a guy that, well, how many fights he have? But somewhere around 100 fights.
103 wins, 16 losses.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's not too bad.
70 knockouts.
70, not too bad. Not too bad. Not chopped liver.
And my favorite nickname in all of boxing.
Yeah.
They didn't want any wide receivers nickname Hands of Stone.
No.
But my favorite fighter nickname.
Yeah, that's right. Well said. Fought everybody, won at all different weight classes, could fit into any era. He could punch, he could fight, he technically was solid, had the talent, had hand speed, tough, great chin. He had all the tangibles and intangibles to be on this list. He was one of the greatest aggressive counterpunchers I've ever watched, and great instincts, and great timing, great reflexes. He would see a right hand coming, he would just turn his head. Just at the split second he had to and ride it away. Just ride it off to the sunset. A lot of people say Teddy wasn't a counterpuncher, he was aggressive. He was an aggressive counterpuncher. A counterpuncher is someone who makes you punch and makes you miss and then hits you. No matter how he does it. If he does it backing up, if he does it, on the outside controlling range, no matter how he does setting traps, he makes you miss and then he makes you pay. Duran made you miss by forcing you to punch by coming right at you, and then he made you pay. And he was also a great body puncher. The great Roberto Duran. Number 9. Wouldn't it make sense to be maybe the guy that beat Duran? I know you lost a couple, but we're talking about when he was prime Duran. We're talking about being involved in iconic fights with him. We're talking about a guy who was a gold medalist in the Olympics. Transcended boxing in a way that he got commercials. Boxers didn't get commercials. He got 7-Up commercials. Yeah, he was a good-looking guy. He had a great smile. But he had that it factor when he got in the ring. Not that he was just flashy and fast and the golden boy and all of that. But it was the talent. It was something else, too. He was a junkyard dog. Yeah, he was a mean pit bull. Yeah, get past all that 7-Up and the smile and, all that stuff and his son. And he had his son's picture on his boots, on his shoes when he fought in the Olympics. He was part of what I think was the greatest Olympic boxing team of all time. 5 of them won gold. 5 of them went on. No, 4 of the 5 went on to win world titles. You had the Spinks brothers. You had Leo Randolph. You had Howard Davis Jr. You had all of these. You had Michael Spinks, the Spinks Jinx, light heavyweight champion of the world, great light heavyweight champion. You had all these great fights. Yeah, I'm talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. Okay? Sugar Ray. If you can take and use the name and get away with it, of maybe the greatest fighter of all time, you're good. Nobody could borrow that name. They wouldn't dare borrow that name. He borrowed that name. He took that name and he made it work. He didn't embarrass it. He actually did something you didn't think you could do. He made you think about another Sugar Ray. That there's another great Sugar Ray. I thought there was only one. That there was another great Sugar Ray. And he's around when we're around. When there is network TV, where we can watch him regular. We can enjoy him. We can appreciate his skills. Yeah, with all the speed and the power and the smile and the gold medal, all of that. He was that nasty son of a gun you didn't want to be in a dark alley with. He was all of that because he wanted to do one thing, take your heart. He wanted to win. He was tough. He found a way. He did whatever he had to do when he was at his best to win. No matter what was going on. He could coast, he could outbox you, no, I'm gonna go get you. He had that mentality to go with the talent that he could have used that talent any way he wanted. But he used it to go and get rid of you if you showed any signs that he should and could get rid of you. Yeah, he was great. Sugar Ray Leonard. And he fought and beat all the great fighters that were around in his time. And he was involved in so many big fights. Number 8. Now we're going to that different era now. I'm sorry he's not higher on the list. And he could be. Maybe he should be. No, I'm not going to say maybe. I'm not afraid to take criticism. I'm not afraid to doubt myself and question myself. He should be higher. Except it is the greatest list in a sport that's been around 2,000 years. And it's hard. It gets crowded. It ain't easy. Yeah, he handled pressure that nobody will ever see, ever. They will never see this kind of pressure that he handled when he defended the world title in Yankee Stadium outdoors on the eve of World War II. Nobody else had the President of the United States calling him up and say, you got to win this one. Got to win this one for the good guys. You can't let this madman over in Germany think that they're going to dominate the world, that they have the superior race. No, Joe. No, Joe. You got to do it for us, for the free world, Joe. You talk about pressure. And then he goes and annihilates Max Schmeling. And he does it and he changed the sport. He was he was an ambassador for the sport, but he was an ambassador for humankind. It was during a time, and our country, of course, got out of that time. Some countries never get out of it, but we did. It's been all over the world where they had terrible thing called slavery, and we got out of it. We beat it. We got rid of it because the heart of this country knew that it had to, because we were a good country, good people, and we got rid of it. But during that time when it was still here, where people that were black suffered, where they shouldn't have suffered. Joe Louis gave them hope. Black families, fathers would say, hey, if Joe Louis can do it, you can do it. If Joe Louis could be heavyweight champ of the world, you can do anything. He gave people hope. People talk about other people that were great. Jackie Robinson, how great was he? Oh, my God, he was great. Oh, my God, he was great, what he dealt with and the doors he opened up. But Joe Louis, enough people don't know about the doors he opened up, about what he did, about when he was in the Army. He didn't have to fight. He was Joe Louis. He was in the Army. They said, Joe, we just want you to do some exhibitions. We want you to come here. They'd invite the generals, would invite them to openings of movies, to all kinds of ceremonies. They go into arenas. They go into places. They'd have special events. And he'd walk in and he'd see that the blacks weren't allowed in. He stopped at the door very politely and said, I can't go in there. Why, Joe? Because you don't have blacks in there. When they come in, I'll go in. He opened the doors. But he did it quietly. He didn't do it loudly. He did it quietly. He made the world better. Besides making boxing better. Greatest finisher ever as a heavyweight. He got you hurt, he got rid of you. Short, concise punches. And his balance. He was never off balance. Always feet under him. Calm in an uncalm environment. Always set to punch with power with either hand. Beautifully trained by a great fighter. Jackie Blackburn. Great fighter. Jackie Blackburn helped make him a great fighter. The great Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Next, number 7. Well, I wrote down a few things about this man. And how about this? How about 294 fights? You know, it's hard to be accurate back in these days. But let's say 294 fights, right? Officially only lost 8 fights, fought 45 times in 1 year. Did you hear that?
45.
People don't 45 times in 1 year. People don't fight 45 times in a career. 45 times in 1 year. He fought every great fighter of his era. He's the only fighter ever to beat the great Gene Tunney. It was during a time when there were no decision fights, newspaper decision fights, so it's hard to get an exact record on him. But we're pretty damn close. We're pretty damn close over here. 170 with no decision fights. A historian went over them and read the newspapers, an official decision, and figured that out of the 170 no decision fights, he only lost 10 of them. I mean, you're talking about a different era. You're talking about a guy who fought middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight. He fought everybody. He was middleweight champion. We're talking about the great Harry Greb, the Pittsburgh Windmill. We're talking about that if you had punch numbers today, those guys' fingers would disintegrate. They would be bleeding. They would need medical care to try to keep up with the amount of punches that Harry Greb would throw during the course of a fight. The great Harry Greb.
Who also did it while blind in one eye.
Fought over 100 fights from what we understand, blind in one eye. 100%, bud.
Incredible.
Just an incredible man, an incredible era, an incredible time. I mean, nobody out-busied him. Nobody out-toughed him. 294 fights. Officially only lost 8. I mean, number 6. Let's give a little bit of what we know about him. 210 fights. Retired as an undefeated lightweight champion. Held the title for 8 years. Untouchable during that time that he hadn't been beat as a light heavyweight. That doesn't mean he didn't lose a fight before that. Retired as undefeated lightweight world champion. Held the title 8 years. A lot of people said he redefined the science of boxing. He lost money in the Great Depression. What was that, 1929, I guess, 1930? He came back after a 6-year retirement, and that's really where he accumulated any losses that he had on his record, because otherwise he didn't, because he was that good when he was in his prime. He was that special. He was that great. His name was Benny Leonard. And his hair would be perfect in the first round or the 15th round, for the most part. He could box. He could fit in with any era. You look back at the old eras and they weren't as, sometimes you could look back at certain eras and they weren't as sophisticated with their technique. Benny Leonard was sophisticated with everything he did. And again, 210 total fights and fought all the best fighters that were around. All of them. They didn't dodge anybody. There was no such thing as dodging. You wanted to dodge, you went and played dodgeball. I don't even know if dodgeball was invented yet. Not to mention that the great Joe Louis, I'm just going back real quick, defended the title 25 times. 25 times he had defended the heavyweight title. So Benny Leonard, great lightweight champ. Number 5, 241 fights. His record, the best we have it now, 229 wins, 11 losses, 1 draw. Lost 11 fights in 241. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. The will of the wisp, the great Willie Pep, who once legendarily was said that he won a round without throwing a punch. Just with ring generalship, feinting, giving angles, moving to the side, keeping the guy off balance, making the guy keep his hands in his pocket, where he was afraid to throw because he might get thrown back real quick and counted when he hit nothing but air. Yeah. The great Willie Pep. Will of the Wisp. Number 4. Well, you all know him as the greatest, right? Number 4 is pretty damn good. Greatest fighters of all time. Talk about being involved in historic fights. You talk about Muhammad Ali. I mean, you talk about the historic fights that made a difference in this sport. The fight in Zaire with George Foreman. The fight of the century, the original fight of the century with Joe Frazier. When he came back from a 3.5-year exile because he didn't go into the army. You talk about 3 fights with Joe Frazier, a great fighter in his own. Great fighter, Smoking Joe. Talk about the throw in Manila when he said he never came so close to death. I mean, he sat down in his... This is what separates guys. It's not just the talent that is so easy and tangible for us, but the stuff that's not easy and tangible. After the 10th round, Frazier was coming on. That's what Smoking Joe did. Body, head, everything. Left hooks. Could knock down a freaking wall. Just kept coming. Smoking Joe kept coming. Ali sits down. He told Sports Illustrated at the end of the 10th, he said, I thought I was going to die. Manila, the air was thick. It was full of more than just humidity. It was full of mosquitoes. It was full of everything. Stuff that you wouldn't want to be breathing in if you were just sitting out there having a cocktail. Much less fighting Joe Frazier for 15 rounds. And he sits down on a stool and he thinks about quitting. See, this is where you separate the greats from the guys that are just very, very good. He thought about it for 2 seconds, and then he pushed it out of his body. Yeah, even the greats think about it when they're close to feeling death, as he put it. Yeah, even the greats can think about, I can't do this. I can't go on. But they do it. They do go on. And that tells you all you need to know. They don't know what's in front of them. They don't know. They've never been there before, never been in this kind of perilous situation. They don't know what's in front of them. Yeah. They're Magellan. They're Christopher Columbus. They were every explorer that ever came on the face of the planet. They're going to a place where they think that it's been told the world was flat, and that if they go any further, they're going to fall off, and they're going to get eaten by animals that have smoke coming out of their mouth and flames coming out of their mouth, gargoyles, all kinds of creatures. They don't know. Nobody's been there before. But somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to go. And you got to go without the roadmap. You got to go without being told. What is it to going somewhere, even if it's tough, if someone tells you what's there? Yeah, it's tough, but there's 4 guys waiting for you. Two of them are lefties, 2 of them are righty. One, if you hit the right one, the other 2 will give up right away. You got information. You know what you're going into. Yeah, it's still difficult, but at least you know what you're going into. He didn't know what he was going into. He had no idea what he was going into, except that he was going. Except that he was going. Yeah, I'm going. I have to go, and I'll find out what I got to find out, but I'm going. And he went. And he went to 11th, to 12th, to 13th, to 14th. And then Eddie Fudge, the great Eddie Fudge, stops the fight in the corner because he didn't want Frazier to take any more. Ali had no idea that was going to happen. All he knew was he had to find out. The great Muhammad Ali reinvented himself. Customato, the great Customato, used to tell me, Teddy, when Ali, before his forced retirement, the only time you touched him was when the referee made you touch gloves with him. Then he came back. And if somebody asked Teddy Atlas right now, what made Ali great? What was the biggest difference? We know that he was more athletic in his first coming. He could move, he could dance, he could float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. We know all that. But then he came back and he did so much more history. Unbelievable. And won the heavyweight title again and again after that. In all these kind of circumstances we're talking about. What was the difference, Teddy? The first time he used skill. The second part of his career, he used will. What a beautiful combination. What a beautiful man. What a beautiful legacy. What a great fighter. Number 4, the great Muhammad Ali. Number 3, get your record books out, people. Get them out. Get them out. I'll put my glasses on. This man deserves you to get him out. This man deserves 246 fights. 178, the best we could come up with. No decision fights, I told you. 246 fights. 178 wins, 30 losses, 38 draws. 38 draws. That means he won all those fights. Believe me. He was a black man fighting when it was hard. Again, I already went over that with that period. He fought from lightweight to heavyweight. He beat all the great fighters. The problem, they wouldn't fight him for a title. They wouldn't fight him. He was Sam Langford. Sam Langford. Wow. Sam Langford. 246 fights, 178 wins, 30 losses, 38 draws. How many knockouts, Ted? Oh, you want to know? 126. Lightweight to heavyweight. Fought everybody. Everybody. 1906 to 1916 was avoided by all title holders. All title holders. He fought Jack Johnson. Yeah, that's right. Jack Johnson, the heavyweight. Great fighter. Great fighter. Jack Johnson. Fought him. Johnson won a 15-round decision. Wouldn't fight him again. Refused to fight him again. The great Jack Johnson. I mean, this is a special man. It's a shame when I do this list, it upsets me. Why, Teddy? He's beautiful. No, it upsets me that enough people don't know about these men, of these great fighters. You should know about them, what they went through to be great. Oh, my God, what they went through to be great. What a fighter. Number 2. A lot of people are going to say he should be number 1. Hey, there ain't much separation between 1 and 2. But yeah, what a fighter. 201 fights, 109 knockouts. 174, 19, and 6. 16 of those losses were where he was old and past his prime. He was fighting when he shouldn't have been fighting, in his 40s. But that's what happens to some of the old greats. They came back when they shouldn't have came back. They had to. They needed money, whatever it was. But they fought too long. 16 of those 19 losses. Really, he would have only had 3 losses. 174 wins. First 137 fights, he only lost 3 fights. Joey Maxim, for the light heavyweight title, outdoors in Yankee Stadium, it was about 110 degrees, 105 degrees, whatever the referee got carried out a few rounds earlier because of heat frustration, and then he collapsed in the 13th round, well ahead on all scorecards. Couldn't finish the heat, he collapsed. Lost to Joey Maxim, Randy Turpin, who he immediately rematched and beat, and Jake LaMotta, who he rematched and beat. When you beat this guy, enjoy it for the moment, because it's only going to be for the moment, because it's going to be a rematch, because that's what they did in those days. And you ain't winning a rematch. No. Not against a fighter who was great with every way and a scientist, saw what was wrong, saw what had to be corrected, and corrected it. One of the greatest punches, one of the greatest chins, the greatest footwork, greatest speed, combinations, and he was majestic. He just looked beautiful to look at him when he did it. He was just beautiful to watch. Yeah, I don't know if he invented this saying, but he was poetry in motion. That was Sugar Ray Robinson, the original, the one and only. Well, number 1, my favorite fighter of all time. Boy, that's tough. Boy, that's tough to get up there. Holy smokes. 145 wins, 20 losses, 9 draws, 98 knockouts. 174 total fights, fought 28 times in 1 year. Not quite what Greb did, but not too shabby. Defended the welterweight title 18 times in 27 months. I'll say it again. Defended the welterweight title 18 times in 27 months. That's pretty good. You ain't going to ever have an era like that again. You're never going to have a man like this again. Never. He wins the featherweight. No one between titles now. No juniors. I'll say it again. Featherweight, welterweight. And then the lightweight title. Wins all 3 titles within 10 months. Wow. Featherweight, welterweight, lightweight title. And he fought a man, a very good fighter named Severino Garcia, for the middleweight title. Most everyone who saw the fight said he won, but he didn't get the decision. He would have had the middleweight title too. And he's got the greatest fight nickname of all time, besides maybe the Hands of Stones. I know your favorite is Hands of Stone. My favorite would be Homicide Hank. Yes, I'm talking about the one and only Henry Armstrong. I wish people knew more about this man. I think you do now after I just said that. I hope you do. But what a man. What a man. What great men these 10. And listen, I'd be remiss. I'm gonna break the rules. I know it's only 10, and it is 10. But I'm gonna tell you, and I'm not afraid to say it this way. I left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I left 7 guys off that should be on the list, but they can't, because then it would be top 17. Even I could do that math. It's top 10. But I got to mention them real quick. I won't go into it the way I did with others. but Joe Gans should be on that list. My God, Joe Gans, real quick. He was one of the greatest lightweight champions of all time. I'm trying to see my notes on him, but what a fighter. What a fighter.
Yeah, another guy with over 100 knockouts, 147 wins. Incredible.
And Sam Langford beat him. Joe Gans. What a fighter. Okay, Jack Johnson should be on that list. First black heavyweight champ ever. Talk about fighting during difficult times when everyone was against you. What a great fighter. What a pioneer. Put punches together, mixed defense with offense, footwork, power. Here's a name that most of you don't know. And that's why I'm going and breaking my rules and giving these names. That's why I hope you appreciate this a little bit. Tony Canzoneri. What a fighter. Most of you guys don't know who Tony Canzoneri is and how great Tony Canzoneri is and was. 140 wins, 22 losses, 10 draws. Only stopped one time in all those fights. Oh my God. You talk about a great fight. Lightweight world champion, junior welter champion, featherweight champion, bantamweight, 4-division champion. I know what you're saying. How come I never heard of him? Because this sport doesn't do a good job in getting out the names of these great fighters in their history. It does not. It does not. Tony Canzoneri. Ezra Charles. Wow. Ezra Charles. Great middleweight, light heavyweight. And then won the heavyweight title. He wasn't heavy, but back in that era, they were smaller. He won the heavyweight title. What a great fighter. Carlos Monzon, middleweight. What a great fighter. What a great fighter. Not a great human being, unfortunately. But what a great fighter. Middleweight champ. Man. Marvin Hagler. How could I leave my man Marvin out? But, you know I can't. I love Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler, what a great fighter. Maybe the greatest southpaw of all time. One of the greatest middleweights of all time. Could fight inside, outside. Greatest chins of all time. Could fight inside, could fight outside. Fought anybody, everybody. Man, what a great fighter. Sandy Sadler, featherweight. If I got Willie Pep up there, I got to mention Sadler. He beat Pep. Beat him several times. Pep beat him one time. But Sadler was a freak of a man. Big, strong, tall, great puncher. Great. One of the great punchers of all time. He was a freak of his size, his everything. He was not normal. I mean, to be the size he was and to fight at that weight with the power that he was able to deliver. What a great fighter. What a great fighter.
Yeah, what a great list. And I think you said it beautifully, paying tribute to these guys, not only your knowledge, but just your passion that they deserve. And for people that don't know, like you said, there's too many people out there. They need to be educated, and we hope the viewers enjoy this and they could start learning and get familiar with some of these great fighters. I do want to ask you something and pick a little hole at your list, so to speak. We did the greatest heavyweights of all time. Joe Louis was number 1. Muhammad Ali was behind him. Why is Joe Louis number 8 on this list and Muhammad Ali in front of him for the greatest fighters of all time?
That's a great question, and it's a fair question. Louis could easily be higher. But because of what Joe Louis did great things in improving the world, improving the sport in his own quiet way. Ali did great things in a louder way. But because of that louder way, he got, I don't want, maybe more credit, more notice, more attention for it. But Ali went to those, into the outside of boxing in such an impactful way, where he represented, at one time, as great as Lewis was, during that time you didn't have all the things you had when Ali was around. So he couldn't quite be what Ali was with the voice that Ali had. Ali had a louder voice, not literally louder, but loud in a way where he can impact more people than Joe could when Joe was around and when Ali was around. Ali at one point, probably fair statement I'm about to make. I have no documentation on this, but I would say that it's probably accurate. He was probably the best known person on the planet. There was probably no one person on the planet that anywhere you went, anywhere around the world you went, there was a chance somebody knew him. I don't think anybody had that reach, that clout, that importance to reach that many people. And to reach people in a way where he told you that he was willing to die. I know what he did was so controversial, not going to the Vietnam War. People still hate him for it. And some people make him heroic because of it. But he was willing to die for his beliefs. People said, "Oh no, he wasn't, Teddy. He didn't go. Yeah, he didn't go on the line like soldiers did." I know our soldiers; they're the greatest. They're the greatest. What they've done for our country, in all the wars, and that war should not have been. But I'm not getting into politics here. But what I wanted to explain is that when you took his career away, he was dying. When he was at his prime, the greatest fighter, the greatest heavyweight champion in the world, right then. He was the champ. Nobody could touch him. And he gets that taken away from him. He was willing to lose that, and he lost it. He lost it. There was no guarantee he was going to come back and have the second career that he had. Nobody would have bet on that. He was willing to lose. He was willing, literally, to die for his beliefs. I think there's a value for that. I think there's something that carries beyond what you do in whatever your workplace might be. His happened to be in the ring. So, all of them are great. Everyone, and the ones that didn't get on there. And again, as I said at the beginning, to your point, Bud, and I'm so glad you brought it up, the order really shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. Make it the order you need to make it. It's for you. It's for the fans out there. Make it the way you need to make it.
Maybe we could get a photo and our man Richie will zoom in on a photo and we could show everybody, just to your point, the process that goes into making this list and the behind the scenes look at some of your thoughts as you're putting together and making this list. I thought it was a great list. I really thoroughly enjoyed listening to it. It gives me some goosebumps hearing about some of these great fighters and you bring them alive, even guys that I don't really know well. And I could close my eyes and listen to you and envision who this guy is. I want to ask you one last thing as we do sign off, and then we'll cap this up. But if there was one fighter today, currently fighting, whether it's Crawford, whether it's Usyk, could they ever get into this top 10 list or top 20 list of greatest of all time? And if so, what would they have to do still to be able to be in contention for this rarefied air?
It'd be pretty hard because the era is different. It's not their fault that they couldn't get on it. Chances are, no. Usyk might be the only one. Because of, yeah, I know in a way he's great. Crawford's great. They're great. They're great. But they're not going to have an opportunity to go down the roads that these fighters went down. Those roads don't exist anymore. Those opportunities don't exist anymore. That era is gone. And you have to go down some of those roads to get on such a list. Oh, Teddy, you shouldn't be held back by your era. Well, we're living in the real world. You can only do what you can do in your era. I agree with you. And beat who you can beat in your era. I agree with you. But that doesn't mean it was an era that some of these other guys competed in. And it doesn't mean it matches up to what they did. Yeah, this guy didn't have the chance to do that, but these guys did. And we can only judge them on that. That they were around in those eras that were much more difficult in some ways, much more competitive in some ways, and much more historic in some ways. And we can't change it. Usyk, because of what he's done, unifying the heavyweight title first time in 25 years and, beating everybody from cruiserweight. He wins the Olympic gold medal. He unifies the cruiserweight titles, beats everybody, wipes out that division, and then he goes to the heavyweights and beats all bigger guys and does that, and he's still undefeated and might, if he retires undefeated, could be the only heavyweight champ ever to retire undefeated other than Rocky Marciano, who retired at 49-0. Maybe that gives him a little consideration. I don't know. It's a great question, though.
Well, it was a great topic, and I hope all the viewers out there enjoyed it. Like we said last time, keep leaving some comments. Let us know what you want to hear next, what you guys think, who are on your lists, and please like, comment, subscribe. And we'll be back again with a new one next week.